The mornings in the park were always quiet, especially on Tuesdays. That was when she would come. She walked slowly along the path. She carried a large bag over her shoulder. Her name was Eleanor. She was retired. Her life was peaceful, but a little lonely. One Tuesday, she stopped at her usual bench, the wooden bench under the old oak tree. She sat down. She looked around. The park was empty. She reached into her bag. She pulled out a book. It was a simple notebook with a green cover. She opened it. She placed it carefully on the bench beside her. Then she stood up and walked away. She did not look back. The next person to find the bench was Leo. He was a student. He was always in a hurry, but today his class was canceled. He decided to sit in the park. He saw the notebook. At first, he thought someone had forgotten it. He picked it up. He opened it. On the first page, in beautiful handwriting, was a story. It was a short story about a sparrow learning to fly. It was simple and kind. Leo smiled. He read the whole story right there on the bench. He felt calm. He hadn't felt calm in weeks. At the end of the story, there was a blank page. Then he saw a pen tucked into the notebook's spine.
He had an idea. He picked up the pen.
On the blank page, he wrote his own story. It was about a lost key that found its lock. It wasn't very good, but he wrote it. He closed the notebook. He left it right where he found it. 2 days later, a woman named Maria found the book. She was having a difficult week. Her heart felt heavy. She sat on the bench and saw the green notebook. She read Leo's story about the key. Then she turned the page and read the original story about the sparrow. They were both so hopeful. Without really thinking, she picked up the pen. She wrote about a rainy day and a cup of hot tea. She wrote about how the warmth filled your hands first, then your heart. She wrote just a few lines, but writing it made her feel lighter. She placed the notebook back on the bench. Eleanor returned the following Tuesday. She picked up the notebook. Her heart beat faster. She opened it. She saw new writing. She saw Leo's story and Maria's story. Her eyes filled with happy tears. Someone had read her story. And more than that, they had joined her. They had added their own words. She turned to a fresh page. She wrote a new story. This one was about a gardener who planted seeds without knowing what would grow. She wrote that the not knowing was the best part. She left the book again. This became the secret rhythm of the park. The green notebook lived on the bench under the oak tree. People found it. People read it. People wrote in it. A construction worker wrote about the sound of hammers in the morning, like a song. A nurse wrote about the quiet moment when a patient finally falls asleep. A child drew a picture of a giant sun with a smile. Stories of small joys. Stories of small sorrows. All together in one book. Eleanor visited every Tuesday. She was no longer just leaving a story. She was collecting them. She read every new entry. She felt connected to all these strangers. She felt like she knew them. Their words were gifts to her. One Tuesday, she arrived and the notebook was gone. Her breath caught. She felt a deep sadness. She sat on the bench for a long time. Maybe it was over. Maybe the magic had ended. She looked at the empty space where the book had been. She hoped whoever took it needed it more. A week later, she came to the bench out of habit. She wasn't expecting anything, but there it was, the green notebook. And next to it, a second notebook. This one was blue. She opened the green one. On the first page was a new note. It said, "Thank you. Your stories helped me. I started the blue book for new stories. Let's fill them both." It was signed, a friend. Eleanor cried again, but this time she laughed too. The community was real. It was growing. The seasons changed. The leaves turned yellow and fell. The bench was sometimes cold, but the books remained. Now there were 3 notebooks, then 4. People began to leave small drawings, pressed flowers, or tickets from a movie. The bench became a living museum of small, human moments. Eleanor realized she wasn't lonely anymore. She had a whole park full of friends she had never met. She knew their hearts through their words. One winter Tuesday, she arrived to find a small crowd. For people were standing near the bench. They were holding notebooks. They turned when they heard her approach. They smiled. "Are you Eleanor?" one of them asked. It was Maria. Leo was there too, and the construction worker and the nurse. They had guessed from the stories and the Tuesdays that it might be her. They wanted to say thank you in person. They didn't need to talk much. They already knew each other. They sat together on the bench and shared coffee from a thermos. It was quiet, just like the first morning. But it was a different kind of quiet. It was the quiet of understanding. It was the quiet of connection. The books are still there, on that bench, in that park. New stories are added every week. Stories of hope, of sadness, of ordinary wonders. It all started with one story. One book left on a bench. A simple act that created a world of its own. A world made of paper and ink and human kindness. If you ever find a notebook in a park, maybe you should read it. And maybe you should add a story of your own.